warm welcome and a very good morning to you and to all the students who have joined and who are joining. And thanks a lot for sparing your time and addressing us. I'm saying us and not only students, because even we are in a learning mode, as ours being the first college under University of Pune to offer a PharmD degree. So,
it's a continuous process. Everybody has to learn. We can say that I've learned everything. It's a continuous process. That too, as for teachers, we need to keep learning.
So, thanks a lot for accepting our invitation. Now, over to you, Digambar, to introduce sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, all dear students. So, it's our proud privilege to have with us today Dr. S. Sriram. Dr. S. Sriram, sir, he is head Department of Pharmacy Practice, College of Pharmacy, Sri Ramakrishna Institute of Paramedical Science, Coimbatore. He completed his graduation from Annamalai University, and then he had the industrial experience from Glaxo India and Cadila. After that, he did his post-graduation in pharmacology from JSS College of Pharmacy. He secured gold medal in M-Pharmacy, and moreover, he was best outgoing student of the college. Later on, he joined the College of Pharmacy, Sri Ramakrishna Institute of Paramedical Science, Coimbatore. He completed his PhD in the field of evaluation of adverse drug reaction and drug interaction monitoring. He has more than 95 publications in various national and international journals. Students, he awarded with Best Teacher Award from Tamil Nadu Dr. MGR University, Chennai. He is also on the advisory board member and reviewer of various national and international journals. He has received the award for Outstanding Pharmacy Faculty of the Year 2017 by IPA. He is also served as a Secretary of Bioethics Unit of the International Network of the UNESCO Chair in Bioethics. He also nominated as Associate Secretary, Central Executive Council, Indian Pharmaceutical Association Education Division for the year of 2018 to 2020. Students, it's our proud privilege to have with us Dr. S. Sriram. I would like to request sir to please initiate with his talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the nice introduction. Right, I'm really glad to be there as a part of your team today. Right. Whether my slide is visible, a screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers of Indira College of Pharmacy, Pune, for inviting me, and I am really very happy to be associated always for any professional activity. Thank you very much for calling. And the topic today is transform knowledge to skill, need of the hour. At the outset, I'd like to have a hearty welcome to all of you. I always love this organ in the body, that is heart. Why? Because heart is the only organ in the body which keeps on delivering whatever it receives. No other organ does this work. It keeps on giving whatever it receives. So that is one good property of the heart, and we teachers should have that property. Whatever knowledge we get, we have to dissipate it and for the betterment of the healthcare. This is just a small hypothetical thing. If heart speaks, what it will speak? Suppose if your human heart, if they could speak to you, what it will speak? It will say that I am the first organ to start functioning in the body, and I could pump 5 liters of blood each minute, and I pump around 1 million barrels of blood in your lifetime, and I beat around 300 crore times in your life, and I can pump the blood up to 30 feet distance at a time, and within 20 seconds I circulate all over the body, and if all my paths are kept straight, it is 60,000 miles, that is the arteries, veins, capillaries I travel. So this is what a heart can tell you if it is allowed to talk. Not only heart, in our body we have got lots and lots of organs inside which keeps functioning without asking us. without asking us. Nobody is instructing it. Suppose when you run fast, the heart pumps accordingly to maintain the metabolic need of your body. The oxygenation is taken care of by the alveoli, the lungs. Brain has got the blood supply of 55 ml per minute per gram of the tissue. Everything is happening. The kidney, it can filter, that is 180 liters per day. The GFR is 125 ml per minute, or per day it is 180 liters per day. So all these organs keeps functioning. Whenever you wanted to be happy, right, your mind and heart has to work in coordinates. Always remember that for a healthcare professional, we require a balance between the mind and the heart. Remember, everybody has got the same brain. Each and every student, everyone has, God has given us the same brain. How do we use that brain is very much important. He can be there, a student can be there in the class and he can think something else. He can be listening, he can be seeing the teacher, but his thoughts can go anywhere miles apart. But I'll tell you a classical example. Whenever we are there in the class, right, when teacher asks you something which was taught yesterday, we were not able to remember. The student were not able to remember. But the same situation I tell you, when we go to a movie, 2.5 hours we see the movie and come back. Even after 2 years, if somebody asked a question from the movie, when was the first meeting between the hero and heroine, we were able to tell very, very precisely, isn't it? So all these things, how it happens, it's all because of you go there with some involvement, you go there with some interest, you see the things which you like, and you see or you listen to it with free mind. So mind is the place where you have to act upon. So knowledge is nothing but acquired. It is through learning. Anybody can gain knowledge. I tell you, suppose if the student did not attend the class today, he or she can go, she can refer in the library, she can take the book, she can gain the knowledge. She will know the information. Knowledge is just information. But skill is not like that. Skill is the capability acquired through practice. The capability acquired through practice is skill. So always remember that knowledge should be transformed to skill. Otherwise, it is waste. So practice-oriented knowledge is skill. I'd like to quote here the sayings of Albert Einstein. Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. So education should make you think. We in pharmacy, all of you will agree with me that we study more number of subjects, around more than 25 to 30 subjects we study in pharmacy. No other course in the world, I'll challenge, they are studying this many number of subjects. Starting from anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, pathophysiology, pharmacology, pharmacotherapeutics, lots and lots of subjects we study. At the end, where it has to help us, it has to help us in the treatment part. Whenever a pharmacy education is there, for the treatment part should be helpful. The clinical pharmacy and the hospital pharmacy, along with therapeutics, will change this pharmacy education to PharmD education, along with the other basic subjects. If you see, learning is a component where you just remember only 10% of what you read and 20% of what you hear and 30% of what you see and 90% of what you do. That is active learning. Practice-based learning is very important. In case of this PharmD education, more concentration is given for pharmacy practice education. Apart from this, some basic sciences, pharmaceutical sciences, biomedical sciences, and all other activities are there included. Whatever we study, we need to integrate and study. Suppose in biochemistry in first year, you study about glucose molecule, you study the structure of glucose or how it is formed. In second year, you study about the pathophysiology of diabetes. Again, in first year in anatomy, you study about pancreas. And in second year or third year, you study about pharmacology of diabetes or pharmacology of pancreas. So all these things need to be integrated. Even though you study in different years, different things, when it comes for the treatment part or therapy, it is better you integrate and study. That is what is called as integration will help you. The knowledge should get transformed to the skill. That is where the integration learning process happens. As I said, education is knowledge-based and practice-based. So this knowledge, whatever you get, the bookish knowledge has to be transformed to the practice-based. Once the knowledge is transformed to the skill, and if you have got a very good attitude, you will have a very good enjoying life whenever or wherever you work. So for the best practice, the student should build the practice skills, integrating the theory to practice. This practice-based skill or learning, it develops a lot of things in a student. Information skills, problem-solving skills, thinking skills, teamwork skills, time management, communication skills, and computing skills. There is a difference between education and training. Everybody is educated, but where the training helps. The training is a practical component which is job-oriented and it enhances the skill. Whatever knowledge, it will be transformed to the skill in case if the training is given properly. So the major difference between the didactic learning, the conventional didactic learning, and this practice-based learning is, in conventional didactic learning, the knowledge refers to learning principles, concepts, and information regarding a particular subject, whereas skill refers to the ability of applying the information in a context to improve the patient care. So this objective is to create an experience for the student in practical training. You might be knowing in the last 2 years of your PharmD, you will be doing clerkship and internship. That is in 5th year, they will be doing clerkship and internship. The major difference here, the clerkship and internship is, the clerkship is the time where you do all the pharmaceutical care activities you learn. For example, you want to give some drug information, you want to do some counseling, all these things you learn, you apply the knowledge, whatever you study, and you learn. It is a part of your experiential learning. Whereas the internship, when you come to internship, this internship is different. All the competencies, whatever you are learning, you have to apply that. Experiential learning should be there, and this internship is individualized. It is, you have to do whatever you have experienced, whatever you have learned, you should transform those skills. You should transform everything for the patient care when you are there working in a healthcare setup. What competencies? When I say competency skills, what are the competencies required or expected from a pharmacist who are working in the hospital? I will say that these are the 10 commandments, 10 components, or I can say 10 commandments for a successful clinical pharmacist. He should know how to take medication history interview. He should know to interpret the lab results. Suppose when the lab results say, for example, the uric acid level is high, he should be able to say that, okay, the patient may have gout. Or if the amylase level is high, he should be able to say some pancreas, there is a problem. So interpretation of lab results, and also understanding the diagnosis and prognosis of the disease. We know diagnosis. What is prognosis? Prognosis is if the treatment is continued or compliant, the patient is compliant to the treatment, within how much period of time they will get cured. So the prognosis is good means the patient compliance, if it is good, the prognosis also will be good. So medication therapy management, it's a very broad terminology, right? All the activities carried out by the pharmacist for the betterment of the patient care comes under pharmaceutical care or medication therapy management. Medication error management, if at all any administration error, prescription error or dispensing error, all these things, error should be identified by the clinical pharmacist. Adverse drug reaction monitoring, we call it as pharmacovigilance. So pharmacovigilance activities also should be one of the competencies should be known for the clinical pharmacist. And finding the drug interactions, pharmacoeconomics, cost effectiveness study, drug information, patient counseling. So all these are the 10 main criteria. Apart from this, there are a lot of other things are there like IV incompatibility studies, big data analysis. We have got personalized medicine or individualized drug therapy. So many are there. But these are the 10 components or 10 commandments for a successful clinical pharmacist. During the ward rounds, you have a lot of opportunities to interact. You can interact with the physician, you can interact with the own colleagues, that is whoever is coming with you, either is a junior doctor or the patients you can interact. So a lot of opportunities are there for you in the ward rounds. Always remember that whenever a doctor prescribes a medicine, there are a lot of treatment choice for that. What are a lot of factors which influence the prescription, what he uses. Remember that doctor would have finished his MD or DM long back, around 10 to 15 years back. And now the newer medicines are coming. He relies on the company person, the medical representative, right? The company person is going to tell them only the positives of his medicine and not the negatives. So it is a biased information what they get. So if these people are given some unbiased information, they need unbiased information. So there are a lot of factors which influence. One is the scientific information, whatever you give, and another is the prior knowledge, whatever they have got, and the social and cultural factors, economic factors, right, relationship with the peers, then workload. See, a lot of factors are influencing the use of medicines. Always remember that drugs are the same, but patients are different. See, I will say a classical example is ordinary paracetamol. Whenever a patient gets fever, paracetamol is given. Yes, when I ask what is the dose of paracetamol, most of the students say that 500 milligram, or some of them say 650 milligram dolo is available. So I will say like this: when the paracetamol dose is asked, you should say 15 milligram per kg body weight. Because if you know the dose of a drug per kg body weight, then it is easy to give the dose even for a small child or for a geriatric patient. So here, even when paracetamol is given, the drug is the same, but the patients are different. What I mean here is, some patients may have hepatic problems, some patients may have the renal problems. A lot of factors are to be individualized. The physiological parameters, when it changes, the drug bioavailability or the bioequivalence changes. So drugs are the same, but patients are different. So personalized medicine or the individualized drug therapy will be the future. So personalized medicine. What does it personalized medicine means? It is patient-centric model. They talk more on pharmacogenomics. For example, a patient is having colon cancer, right? Previously, they say that, okay, this medicine for this many days they have to take chemotherapy. Now, what they identify is which gene is responsible for this particular problem. And that particular gene is targeted so that the other cells will not get affected. So personalized medicine is the future. When a student is there in the ward rounds, he should ask questions himself. What for this therapy is given to the patient? Why? How? When? All these questions should come to the mind. Then only they can learn a lot of things. I'll give you a few examples. For example, when a patient is diagnosed as gout patient, immediately the student has to go and check whether the uric acid levels are elevated. These uric acid levels are elevated in general in male, because the saturation of the uric acid is only 380 something. But in male, of course, the normal value itself goes up to 422. So male normally will have more uric acid. Hyperuricemia doesn't mean that the patient is having gout, unless otherwise there is symptoms. Whenever the patient has started giving symptoms, then only you have to consider this hyperuricemia as gout. Right. See, the patient, when it is diagnosed as gout, you have to be very careful with the kidney also, because kidney stones can form. Uric acid stones can affect the kidney. So like this, when you go through a chart or a medical chart or the information about the patient, you should be able to analyze what for it is prescribed, why it is there. Say, for example, pancreatitis, increased amylase level will be there. Anemia, what is the reason for anemia? Decreased hemoglobin is anemia. So what is the reason? Whether the patient is anemic because of some drugs. Drug-induced anemias are there. For example, you say hydroxychloroquine, right? So all these anti-malarial drugs can cause hemolysis, it can cause anemia. Why kidney disorder? Whether the patient is taking NSAIDs or whether the patient is taking aminoglycoside or any other drugs which affects the kidney. Why there is decrease in GFR, right? What for this antibiotic is given to the patient? The rationality in the prescription should be analyzed. This particular antibiotic is given, is there any rational? Whether sensitivity pattern studies are done or only by empirical therapy the doctor has prescribed it. Suppose a particular category of drug is given, say cardiac glycosides, is the potassium supplement is given because it can alter the electrolyte potassium levels. So beta blockers in asthma is contraindicated. Whenever isoniazid is given, antitubercular therapy, whether pyridoxine is adjuvantly it is given or not. Say amlodipine use, the calcium channel blocker, if it is used for more than 4 to 5 years, there are a lot of reports that the adverse drug reaction, this pedal edema can happen. AZ inhibitors can produce cough. So osteoporosis, when steroid is used, whether it is inhaled steroid or it is through oral. Say renal disorders can happen mainly with NSAIDs because the blood circulation to the kidney is reduced. So vasoconstriction happens. So when the blood circulation to the kidney is reduced, then automatically you know what happens in the kidney. Renal renin secreted and renin angiotensin system works on, and the BP also raises. So how to use these counseling aids or patient helping kits, say for example inhalers, peak flow meters, right? Retrieve the information from the patient. Sometimes the patient might be knowing more than you. Say the diabetic patient for more than 15 years, right? Patient will be telling more details about diabetes and hypoglycemia and what drugs they are prescribing. So you have to be very careful. You have to retrieve the information, and whatever is required only you have to give. So information on the diet versus therapy, you have to coordinate diet versus therapy. How to improve the patient compliance, right? So all these things are to be taken care of while you are there in the ward rounds. Always remember that the proven efficacy and the actual effectiveness is not achieved. A medical company or a pharmaceutical company says that when you take my tablets, within 3 days, you will get all right with this particular disorder. But actually it is not happening. Why? Because there is a big gap between the proven efficacy and the actual effectiveness. Because the way how the patients take it and the other comorbid conditions which affects, or the other food or the drug which they are taking, it can affect the another drug. So these are some of the conditions like medication error, drug selection and doses, non-adherence, that is non-compliance, drug interaction, adverse drug reaction. All these are the major reasons why there is a lot of deviation from the proven efficacy from the company and the actual effectiveness. So ultimately what happens is the cost of the problem is more than or equal to the cost of the medicines. When I say clinical pharmacist, there are a lot of responsibilities for a clinical pharmacist. A clinical pharmacist should have this knowledge. He should be able to do the prescription auditing. Whenever you say a hospital is NABH accredited hospital, a hospital is accredited hospital means they should have the ACS accreditation. There are a lot of different types of accreditations are there for which they should conduct prescription auditing. So there are some rules and regulations. So there is one called as MOM, that is management of medication. The standards, in the standards of NABH, number 3 is MOM, management of medication. In this management of medication, if you go inside and check, there are a lot of activities the pharmacist can help the hospital for this NABH process. Say for example, prescription auditing. So how many prescriptions have error in dose? How many prescriptions have got error in dosage form? How many prescription route is not mentioned? How many double entry have come? So like this, lot of factors can be audited and it can be submitted, and this NABH accredited hospitals require the pharmacist's help to do all this auditing. Say drug interaction is one area where most of the physicians or the doctors, they don't concentrate upon. With due respect to them, I say this drug interaction, there are more than 1 to 1.5 lakh formulations are there in the Indian market. It is very difficult to keep in memory all the drug interactions. But a pharmacist can do that. How it can be done? He should know what for the drug interaction we wanted to study, how to study, that is a methodology, how to evaluate the drug interaction, and what is the outcome we expect out of drug interactions. So if he can know about this, it is easy for them. I'll tell you, when a prescription, if you want to screen drug interactions in a prescription, only 2 things you have to identify: whether the prescription has got object drugs or precipitant drugs. So what are object drugs? What are precipitant drugs? The object drugs are the one which has got steep dose response curve. That means within even a small increase in the dose can lead to toxic levels. If such type of drugs are there in the prescription, they are called as object drugs. And what are precipitant drugs? The drugs are the one who or which precipitates the reaction, that is called as precipitant drugs. Say for example, any drugs which are highly protein bound, or the drugs which can alter the metabolism, or the drugs which can affect the renal function, excretion. Say for example, you say probenecid. Any drug you give along with probenecid, the other drug will have more concentration or toxicity in the body, because probenecid competitively excrete from the body. I told you a lot of drug interactions are there, difficult to keep in memory, but at least few drug interactions a pharmacist should keep in memory. Anytime antibacterials and NSAIDs should never be given together. It will be there in the prescription, but what is our duty is make it spaced. Spaced means, say for example, the antibacterial are given in the morning, NSAIDs could be taken in the afternoon or evening. So it should be spaced out and given. It should not be given concomitant. Like that, lot of drugs are there. Diuretics, The diuretics will not go along in gout patients. Rabiprazole, clopidogrel, anti-diabetics with steroids. Long-term use of steroids can cause diabetes. Lots and lots of drug interactions are there, but few we can keep in memory. We know that diabetes is a major disorder in the country. They say that India is the hub for diabetes, diabetic hub of the world. So we should know little information about which are the drugs which can increase the concentration of diabetic drugs, whenever anti-diabetic drugs, and which are the drugs which can cause decrease in the concentration of anti-diabetic drugs. So I'm not going very much in detail because it will not, I will not be able to complete within the specified period of time. But always remember that there are few areas which you need to know the details. There are some food substances. Say, for example, whenever a patient is given fluoroquinolones, for example, ciprofloxacin, norfloxacin, ofloxacin, pravofloxacin, levofloxacin, so many fluoroquinolones are there. Always remember, we have to avoid the food substances which are high in calcium, iron, and zinc. There are few drugs, when you take it, the protein content or the protein-related food should be avoided. Say, for example, methyl dopa, phenytoin, theophylline. There are lots and lots of drug-food interactions, but few of them which you need to remember. I'll tell you a few major drug interactions. Major drug interaction in the sense it should never be combined together. You can see the prescription having this levofloxacin diclofenac, but levofloxacin, this fluoroquinolone, as in general has the capability, if it is not used properly, appropriately, rationally, it can cause epilepsy. So the combination of diclofenac and levofloxacin will enhance this property of producing epilepsy. So this combination is a deadly combination, should not be given together. Similarly, rabiprazole clopidogrel combination, it can cause stroke in patients. So when a patient is compliant for stroke, nobody suspects for these combination. They suspect whether there is a head injury or the patient has fallen down somewhere or some accident had happened. All these things will come to the mind of the physician. But at the same time, that the combination, this is just an ordinary drug, clopidogrel, rabiprazole combination, if it is done, it also can lead to stroke. Similarly, when a patient is treated for urinary tract infection, these two combinations are normally seen. Say a urinary antiseptic is there, nitrofurantoin, and citralca, it is a systemic alkalinizer. So this systemic alkalinizer will not allow the nitrofurantoin to work because nitrofurantoin requires acidic media to be in unionized form. The drug should have the pharmacological activity only when it is in unionized form. So citralca and nitrofurantoin is a good combination, but it should not be taken together. Like this, so many drug interactions are there. Ondansetron with fluconazole, it increases the QT interval, that is, it increases the heart rate. Arrhythmias can happen. Similarly, cotrimoxazole with fluconazole, major drug interactions, QT interval prolongation, arrhythmias can happen. This is one of the deadly combination. It is pioglitazone with insulin. Insulin should never be given with pioglitazone. This combination is, again, it can cause congestive cardiac failure and sudden death also can happen. Another skill what a pharmacist or clinical pharmacist should have is the medication history interview. If you see, the doctors may not have much time to take the interview with the patient. The time spent by the doctor with the patient, on an average, it is said maximum of only 2 to 3 minutes. So there should be somebody should go through all this medication history, and pharmacists have a major role in seeing the medication history. Suppose if the family history is there, suppose a patient is having asthma or COPD compliant, they should never be given with beta blockers. And if at all they are given with beta blockers, only the selective beta blocker should be given with utmost care. Suppose a patient is complaining of skin rashes, the fluoroquinolones, all fluoroquinolones, if it is taken and if they walk on light or the sunlight, photosensitivity reaction can happen. So all these informations we'll be knowing only when the medical history is taken properly. So when a patient is a diabetic patient, before coming to the doctor, he will take the medication properly for 2 days and come back, so that the sugar level on the day of the checking will be good. But if you want to assess the compliance, they'll go for HbA1c level, glycated hemoglobin levels for the past 120 days. How much was his glycemic control? If it is euglycemia, it is fine. If it is hyper or hypoglycemia, that means it indicates that patient compliance is not there. So all these informations should be studied by the clinical pharmacist. Similarly, the aids, whatever they use, say for example, the inhalers, insulin syringe, right? All these things, the pharmacist can help them or teach them in the way they can understand. Always remember that every ill has got a pill, but every pill should not create an ill. There are pills which can create ill, even though say for example, amlodipine is given for the treatment of hypertension, right? It can cause pedal edema. Fluoroquinolones can cause skin rashes. NSAIDs can cause decline in renal function. Steroids can decrease the bone density and cause diabetes also. There are few drugs which can cause constipation. Right? Diuretics, gout, contraindicated. So like this, there are a lot of pills which can cause the ill, and the clinical pharmacist or the pharmacist who work in the hospital should have the knowledge of this. And whenever they come across these drugs, they should immediately check for all these side effects. When a prescription is same, there are a few things which you have to monitor. I call it as document, D-O-C-U-M-E-N-T. Document is whether the drug selected for this particular ailment is correct or not. Is it according to the guidelines? Whether any overdose or underdose is there, whether the patient is compliant with the treatment, whether any undertreated conditions are there in the prescription, whether any monitoring of drug therapy for the toxicity is required, whether the patient is educated properly regarding the drugs and the disease, right? Whether any toxicity or adverse drug reaction happens. So here are a few examples for medication errors which I have explained here. So error can be of any type. It can be either prescription error or administration error or dispensing error. Most of the times we come across the prescription errors, and these examples, I'll say, for example, injection rabiprazole is given. It is written as 40 milligram IVBD, but the Happy is the trade name. It is available. Rabiprazole is available only as 5, 10, and 20 milligram. It is not available as 40 milligram. Right. So like this, the dosage, and also the prescription frequency, all these we have to check. And a lot of medication errors, not only here in India, in abroad countries also, medication errors are making headlines. Few more examples are here, right? Say for example, levothyroxine, it should be written as mcg, whereas it is written as milligram. Most of the times these errors come from the junior doctors. Whenever they started their practice and they start writing, because normally the senior doctors, they come, they explain, the junior doctors will explain the case to the senior doctors, and senior doctors will change the therapy, and the junior doctors will be writing. To avoid all these things only, now the online prescriptions have come. So directly these prescriptions can be typed and given, can be taken printout instead of writing. Few more examples are here. Say for example, imested ondansetron, it is written as 4 gram. It is actually 4 milligram. Right? Another skill which, very important skill which a pharmacist or a clinical pharmacist should acquire is drug information. The drug information can be proactive or reactive information. You can give the information before itself, or once they ask, they give, that is reactive information. Say for example, now the hydroxychloroquine use, the use of remdesivir, right? So use of this dexamethasone, all these things are for the use of corona. A lot of articles are coming, so they have to be proactive and give information. Information can be taken from 3 different sources, either primary source, that is from the journals, or secondary source, or from tertiary source. So you have to use all the resources, right? You might be studying a lot of books, but where to search what, that should be very much the need. Suppose drug information. As usual, I tell you, there are 4 components which you should know. What is the objective of learning this drug information? How to do that? What is the methodology? I've got modified systematic approach, the 7 steps, and how to evaluate, critically evaluate the information what you get, and what is the outcome because of this, what you understand or what you learn from that. The information, drug information resources are very, very important, right? Because where to search and what are the things to search and how to give tailor-made information is very much essential. The systematic approach in answering drug information queries, you would have studied 7 basic steps, whether these steps are followed while you answer the drug information. See, whenever information is given, I have seen so many students, they give more number of pages. When they give more information, they think that the physician is happy. It's not like that. They're not going to read it. Most of the times, the drug information should be just 1 page or 2 page, so that the doctors can read it amidst their busy schedule. They can read and they can understand. So these drug information centers should have few of the essential components like macromedics or lexicon or some of the guidelines issued by the government. All these you should be having the dosing schedule for hepatic or renal failure patients. You should have a drug information request form, documentation form, right? Next comes the counseling. This is a very, very important part because in abroad countries, the pharmacists have gained respect, gained identity due to this. Whatever we do, ultimately, it should end up in pharmaceutical care. When I say pharmaceutical care, patient-oriented care. All the patient-oriented thing, whatever a pharmacist does is called as pharmaceutical care. So patient counseling is one where it's very, very, very important for the pharmacist to interact with the patients and explain them. Patient will gain a confidence that yes, there is somebody to help us or who know about our ailment and can talk to us for more time, spend more time for our health. So whenever you do patient counseling, again, you should know the four things. What is the objective? Why you wanted to do patient counseling? What is the methodology you are going to follow? How to evaluate patient counseling? And what is the outcome because of patient counseling? So individually, all these topics can be dealt for more than 2 to 3 hours, right? This patient counseling, we should, before entering into the patient bedside, you should get trained in your patient counseling center itself. So this is the patient counseling center in our place where we train the people, train the students. Patient counseling aids are there. We have prepared few folders, individual disease-wise folders are made, counseling aids are made. Say for example, hypertension, diabetes, asthma, like this, you can prepare the folders and like how the medical representatives talk to the doctors with the folders and explaining about the drug, we can explain, we can get trained using these folders. Even the patient counseling aids like insulin pen, the inhalers, all those things we can train. It's all simulated condition. So both of them are students here, but still they train. One will act as a patient, another will act as the pharmacist, and the teacher preceptor will be teaching them what are the do's and don'ts. This is again a drug information center at our place. The patient is getting counseled here. Again, all these folders, whatever is prepared, can be taken to the ward side and can be counseled. The ward side counseling is a very, very effective one. The patient will gain a confidence. Sometimes the outpatients, if you want to say some information, they may not have time to listen to you. In that time, the patient information leaflets will help you. So these patient information leaflets can be prepared in the local language and can be distributed. And before distributing the patient, the counseling aids, all the counseling folders, counseling leaflets, each and every student should know what is there in that. They should understand first fully and then only they can distribute it. So these are all few of the patient counseling folders, the formats. This is again the counseling center. There are few patients who need the drug food counseling. Always I've seen the patient saying that doctor has prescribed me the painkiller, but it is not working. So please remember that the painkillers doesn't work when the patient or the person who takes it along with some tomato-related products, because tomato contains solanine, right? And this solanine will not allow the NSAIDs to work. Similarly, banana can cause headache. Mushrooms can cause headache. Thiamine-rich food, any thiamine-rich food can cause headache. Apple is good for health. People say that take an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But along with the seeds, if you take apples, for example, outside when you take apple juice, along with the seeds, they put apple juice. And these seeds, if you take continuously, say for example, daily you take apple juice along with the seeds, these apple seeds have got amygdalin. There is a chemical component. And this has the property, if it is getting accumulated in the body, can get converted into hypertension. So small informations. Some of the patients come and ask, I'm a vegetarian, whether I don't have much nutrition in the body, right? Give them examples, give them the confidence by saying these examples. These are the people who are vegetarians, but still they have conquered the world. Always remember that vegetarians are less often get admitted in the hospital. Only 22% hospital visit when compared to the non-vegetarians. Suppose you may ask me, sir, I am a non-vegetarian, so how do you counsel me? I'll say this non-vegetarians, it is very good because vitamin B12 is not in vegetarian food, only in meat it is more, so you will not get vitamin B12 deficiency. So according to the patient, you need to know how to talk to the patient, how to give counseling. There is one threat throughout the world now, that is antibiotic resistance. Whatever antibiotics we use, it is the microorganism produce resistance. See, the former Director General of World Health Organization, Dr. Margaret Chan, and the present Director General, Dr. Tedros, both of them insist very well the importance of use of antibiotics. Every year in the month of November for the last 4 years, the World Health Organization is conducting an awareness between this 18th to 24th of November on use of antibiotics. They have done a survey on patients about what do you understand by antibiotic resistance, and 76% of the patients said that my body is resistant to the antibiotic. They doesn't even know that the bacteria produces resistance to the drug. They thought that the body is producing resistance. So patient information is very important. Our government has come out with a guideline in 2016. It is a 64-page document. Each and every pharmacist should have it in hand. They should go through. Here it is very well given what sort of infection, which antimicrobial agent should be used, and if it is not functioning or if it is not working, if it is resistant, what is the second line of choice and what are the adverse effects. All those things are mentioned in this 64-page. It is clearly given as a tabular column. One more thing, as a clinical pharmacist, the person should be very well aware of is the drug safety. Because you have got a job called as drug safety associate. When you finish off your PharmD in big companies like Novartis, GSK and all, you can be employed as drug safety associate. So regarding the drug safety, that is the pharmacovigilance or the adverse drug reaction monitoring, you should be able to know what are the recent adverse effects produced by which drug. This is one example I take. The fluoroquinolone, especially norfloxacin, has caused rupture of aorta. Aorta, as you all know, it's a major artery in the body. Once aorta is ruptured, then the blood circulation, just think of, it's a very, very deadly situation. The blood circulation to the entire body is less. So the perfusion pressure will be less. Ultimately, what happens? The individual organ starts declining its function. So fluoroquinolone norfloxacin has produced rupture of aorta. It's one of the major adverse effects recently it was shared. And everybody should know who is monitoring this adverse drug reaction in India. The Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, New Delhi, right? So under them, there are zonal wise, they have divided how the pharmacovigilance program is going on, whether if I come across any adverse drug reaction, where I should report, whether I should report to nearby ADR monitoring center. There are more than around 270 ADR monitoring centers are there in India. So these ADR monitoring centers should be reported. How to report? Is there any form? Right? Is there any method? So all those things you should be able to learn. See, post-marketing surveillance. This is nothing but adverse drug reaction monitoring. Now, the government has made it mandatory, that is compulsory, for all the pharmaceutical companies to report adverse drug reaction. So each and every pharmaceutical company, we've got more than 20,000 pharmaceutical companies in India. Each and every pharmaceutical company, they started employing these PharmD candidates to report this adverse drug reaction. Previously, they were having this MD people, MD pharmacology people. Now the PharmD students are also eligible for this post-marketing surveillance check. These are the few adverse drug reactions, just few examples I've given here, right? What we have come across in the place where I'm working. We have to do the causality assessment. What is causality assessment? Causality assessment is the causal relationship between the drug given and the adverse drug reaction of time. It is all suspected reaction. Nothing is certain. It is suspected. Suspected means how to know whether the drug produced this. Is there any already evidence is there? The literature survey, through literature survey, we have to find out whether already any evidence is there for this drug which produced this adverse effect. Suppose if the doctor can re-challenge means giving the drug again to the patient and check whether the same adverse reaction comes or not. So that is actually against the ethics, and with the help of the patient concern only you can do that. So where to report, how to report, when to report, all these things a clinical pharmacist or the pharmacist who wanted to work in the hospital, they should know. This is one area where you can really help the patients. Pharmacoeconomics. Go through the drug chart, check for any cost-effective medications, whether you can suggest to the healthcare professionals. You should know the basic things. When you come to 5th year, you'll be studying a subject called as pharmacoeconomics and pharmacoepidemiology. There are 4 different methods of pharmacoeconomics: cost-effective analysis, cost-benefit analysis, cost minimization, and cost-utility analysis. I'll tell you a few examples. Say, for example, amlodipine is prescribed. Pfizer's product is also prescribed, and the cheaper product is also there. So, Pfizer product is 41 rupees, whereas Lidac product is only 11 rupees. Similarly, Aten. Lot of product which has got less cost. One of the classical example is the AC inhibitor Ramipril. This Ramipril, if you see, different brands have got different cost. So if you can suggest, suppose if the patient is a poor patient, you can very well suggest to doctors the brand which is cheaper for that particular patient. So there are a few more examples are here. So whenever you wanted to fit into the healthcare professional, a pharmacist, if you want to say that I am also a healthcare professional like doctors and nurses, then you should fit into the team. When you want to fit into the team, you should know to go through the prescription, you should know to analyze the prescription, you should be able to talk to the doctors regarding the prescription. Say, for example, I have taken a case of 87-year-old patient complaining of burning micturition, pain while urinating. The doctors have advised for urine culture. Of course, the UTI is mainly 70 to 80% of the UTI is caused by E. coli, the gram-negative organism. The patient is diagnosed to have UTI, nitrofurantoin is given. Nitrofurantoin 100 milligram twice daily is given. Now, what the pharmacist can do here? The pharmacist can go through the chart. If he is a geriatric patient, 87-year-old patient, geriatric patient, so what he has to check is the creatinine clearance and the GFR. And when the GFR is 45 ml per minute in this patient, you have to go and check whether the nitrofurantoin has got any contraindication for this patient. And you have to, from the literatures, if you could see that it is contraindicated whenever the creatinine clearance is less than 60 ml per minute, then you have to inform the doctors. This is another patient where deep vein thrombosis is there, and for this patient, drug chart is having warfarin. So you should know what are the counseling points you should talk to the patient. Right? These are the things you have. These are all called as pharmaceutical care activities. Ultimately, patient will get the benefit because of this. So a lot of activities you can do. You can monitor the medication errors. You can monitor any adverse drug reactions. You can monitor any IV incompatibility, price, cost effectiveness, any side effects are there. Or you can also check for the prescription for the auditing. Dose adjustment can be done. Or you can check whether the product given is right or not for that particular patient. So more than product-oriented approach, patient-oriented approach is must nowadays. So even the Pharmacy Council of India has given in the Gazette that Pharmacy Practice Regulation 2015, each and every pharmacist should go through it because it is given there very clearly what are the job responsibilities of a clinical pharmacist, what are the job responsibilities of a community pharmacist, what are the job responsibilities of a hospital pharmacist. Individually, what they are supposed to do. If somebody says, who are you to do patient counseling? Very well, you can say it is there published in the Gazette by the Pharmacy Council of India, the pharmacist can do counseling. Lot of areas where the pharmacist can do this. In the 5th year, you will be doing clerkship. I wanted to talk a little about this clerkship. See, what is this clerkship? The major thing in the clerkship is you should be able to attend the pre-round before the doctor comes for the ward rounds. Right? The pharmacist should go for the pre-rounds and check for the prescriptions. Right? So that they will have, when the doctor comes or the junior doctors as well as the senior doctor discuss, they will be able to understand things. So each and every student will be posted for 2 months on rotation basis. I'll show you the chart, how they'll do it. They will collect the cases, they screen for some drug interaction, they check for some adverse effects if anything is there. They'll be presenting the case through SOAP notes or form notes. And they'll have some bedside counseling points will be noted down. During the clerkship, they will be posted in Drug Information Center and Patient Counseling Center in the hospital. Even in hospital pharmacy, they will be sent for the training. And they have to document the cases and the service provided. And they need to attend some journal club and clinical club meetings. So these are few of the activities what we are doing here in our place. The activities are scheduled for the entire year like this. We divide the students into 8 batches. So each student, say each batch will go, say for example, in January, this particular batch will go to general medicine, especially to the pulmonology department. So which batch will go to which department, it is all scheduled in the year beginning itself, and it will be signed, it will be with the consent of the principal as well as with the consent of the director of the hospital. Right? So this schedule will be circulated to all the department heads, the physicians will receive this schedule, and they'll also know who are the students coming. First batch, who are the students. Second batch, who are the students. And if you see here, inside the staff name is also mentioned there. So for example, General Medicine 1, which staff has to take care of that particular month. So they will be going through all these activities, whatever they are supposed to know. So once you finish off, you have to come discuss with the preceptors in your college. So discussion with the preceptors is very important. The bedside also preceptors will be there. The doctor preceptors will be there. The staff preceptors are there. You need to discuss, and the teaching learning process should go happily. There are different teaching models are there. You can do through case presentation. You can have some simulated case studies. I tell you, simulated case studies give you more knowledge, because in simulated case study, what happens is you will include some diseases. Say, for example, a patient is having hypertension and diabetes. The same patient, if anemia is there, what are the treatment? How it changes? The treatment changes. If the same patient is having gout, then which diuretic should not be given? So like this, the simulated cases, if you add some problems or comorbid conditions, the treatment part changes. Bedside teaching, role model. There are so many other teaching methods are there. Small group discussions you can have. Problem-based learning, PBL. This is one area where the preceptors or the teachers can act as facilitators. They will not teach much. They will make the students learn by kindling their minds, by giving them questions and making them answer, and they will facilitate. Wherever they could not answer, they will be facilitating. That is called as problem-based learning, the project-based learning, and case-based teaching. So during the ward rounds, if you see here, the people who are standing there with a writing pad, the red color pad, with orange color pad, they are the people who are the clinical interns. They are the people who are the students. See, just to know that these people are students, even the writing pad are given the same color. Everybody will be having their name badge, right? So there should be some uniformity. Whenever you enter into the hospital, the people should know, okay, these people are from the interns or these people are from the students. There are a few points which you have to remember whenever you go through the what do you say, prescriptions or drug chart. When you go through, these are the few things which you have to know. Always remember that highly protein-bound drugs, you have to adjust the dose. Adjustment of dose may require. And enzyme-inducing capability is there, then you have to be very careful, especially for lipid-soluble drugs. Always have the detailed drug history or medical record and update the information. Always remember that the drugs which interact in some patients fail to do so in others. Avoid any irrational unnecessary polypharmacy. Ultimately, whatever work you do, either as a project or as a review, try to publish it, and the more potent the drug is, the highest is the risk. So optimization of drug therapy is very, very important, right? So you need to go through the drug-related problems. Either there are 3 methods you can do. You can either review the prescription, or you can interview with the patient, or you can get the information from the literatures. So the drug-related problems are the areas where the pharmacist can concentrate. Let us not go or infringe into the territory of the physician or the doctors. They are there to diagnose and they are there to prescribe. There are so many gray areas, other areas where the pharmacist can do a lot of things. The bioavailability studies, right? Dosage studies, counseling, lot of areas where the drug-related problems are there, we can concentrate. This is a format in which they note down. This is a data entry format. This is again the journal club. Every week we used to have a particular day. For example, on Thursday evenings 4 to 5, we use the journal club, that particular hour for journal club. and one staff will be in charge, and it will go on rotation basis. They will be discussing on a particular article from a journal, and everybody will be knowing that 1 week in advance itself which article it will be displayed in the notice board, what is the topic they are going to take for the journal club. All these things will be discussed, and they will be discussing along with the preceptors or the particular staff during that particular week. Along with the journal club, we also have drug for the week. Just one drug will be discussed along with the journal club and drug for the week. Here is one more example which I have given the pharmacists how they can work in the hospital, right? What is their role? Suppose a male patient with 50 years of old having chest pain, retrosternal pain, right? BP, serum creatinine is given. Is a known case of coronary artery disease and identified recently as having hypertension also. Doctor has prescribed clopidogrel and Indrol. Indrol is propranolol, a non-selective beta blocker. Now, the pharmacist should know the patient is there in which category of hypertension, either stage 1 or stage 2. According to JNC 7, now JNC 8 classification is also there, but most of the physicians don't accept the JNC 8 classification, but JNC 7 is widely accepted. So this stage 1 hypertension, there are a lot of drugs. More than 10 category of drugs are there for stage 1 hypertension. Check which drugs are suitable for this particular patient. Say, for example, diuretics. In literature, in books, in theory, we have studied that thiazide diuretics are the first drug of choice for hypertension patients. But this patient can be given thiazide diuretics. Thiazide diuretics can cause electrolyte abnormalities. They can increase the uric acid level. They can cause hyperglycemia, hyperlipidemia. Reports are there. So this patient doesn't suit for thiazide diuretics. AZ inhibitors, whether it can be given, what are the drawbacks? ARBs, whether it can be given, what are the drawbacks? Beta blockers, whether it can be given. Already a beta blocker, non-selective beta blocker is given, right? Calcium channel blocker. When you take calcium channel blocker, there is no electrolyte disturbance, and the patient, since it is already having the coronary artery disease, this will be their drug of choice for this particular patient. So like this, the pharmacists have to screen each and every drug and check whether the rationality of the prescription is there or not. There is another one example which I have taken here. This example, if you see the drug chart, it is given amlodipine, amedrone. This amlodipine-amedrone combination, it's a very deadly combination, amedrone and warfarin combination. This warfarin-amedrone combination can cause elevated INR. So you have to reduce the dose of warfarin when it is combinedly given. Always remember that any category of drugs, please know the positives and negatives of that drugs. This is very important. So once you know the positive and negative of that particular category of drugs, then it will be easy for you to judge a particular prescription. I'm not going into detail of it because it will go as a class. Again, another thing, what the clerkship during the 5th year, what they are doing is, they are posted in pharmacy. Ours is a 1,200 bedded hospital, right? We have got 2 pharmacies here. So these pharmacy postings will help them to learn more about the drugs and how they are billing, what are the dispensing instructions they have to give. A lot of information can be given. They can know, they can check the prescription, they can take it. Even the auditing of prescription is one of the particular group of students will have auditing of prescription at this dispensing end also. So how it is all arranged, right? So they'll have a feel of the drug, they will take the drug, they will check, they will know which company it is. All those things can happen once they are posted in pharmacy. They should also know little about the Schedule H1 drugs. We all know Schedule H drugs. Schedule H means prescription drugs. Only under prescription, these drugs have to be given. What is Schedule H1 drugs? Even though prescription is required, these drugs should be dispensed as it is mentioned, as it is by the physician. Suppose the physician has written for 5 days, then it has to be given only for 5 days. It should not be given only for 2 days or 3 days. So Schedule H1 drugs are brought, especially there are antibiotics. Out of these 46 drugs, 32 drugs are antibiotics. And all these anti-tubercular medicines are coming under Schedule H1 drugs. So pharmacists should have the knowledge whenever they wanted to work in the hospital, they should know what is the schedule, different types of schedules, and what is the importance of this Schedule H1 drugs. I'll discuss little about the project. The project work will be handled by a group of students. not less than 2 or not more than 4. According to the PCI regulations, you should have this group. They cannot do single student should not do project. They should do in a group, minimum of 2 and maximum of 4 people. Right? So once the project is decided, they should send the protocol to the hospital ethics committee and should get the ethics committee approval. Right? In the project protocol, they should discuss about the objectives, methodology, results, and discussion. They should present in front of the ethics committee. So once the project is chosen, there are different areas where the project can be chosen. In future slides, I'll give you some headings where the projects are going on here. And the project is for 6 months, whereas the clerkship is for the entire whole year, whereas the project is only for 6 months. And you can take projects, you can do some systematic review, you can do some prospective observational studies, interventional studies, case control studies. There are different areas where you can do, but whatever you do, you need to get the approval from the ethics committee, institution, or the hospital ethics committee. So a minimum of 3 seminars the students are asked to give during that 6 months. During the ongoing process of the project, 3 seminars will be in constant interval. Normally we take it 2 months, 2 months, 2 months, 2 months. 3 constant intervals seminars should be given by the students regarding the what are the proceedings in the project and to what extent they could get the results. So a 2-page write-up for the project indicating the title, everything is given and should be submitted. Once the project is over, the detailed report also should be submitted to the department. How to consider the topic, how to choose the topic for the project. Of course, it should be novel, it should be interesting, relevant, feasible. This is one very important thing, feasibility. Suppose you are interested to do some project in cancer, and if the cancer department is not there in the hospital where you are working, then there is no point in doing the project. So it should be researchable. There should be some research material in the project which is not done before, and it should be ethical always. These are all few of the areas where you can do your projects. Say, for example, the drug use evaluation study. Basically, a drug use evaluation study is very, very important. See, I tell you, there are a lot of drugs which are there in the market. Say, for example, some anticoagulants which has come to the market. They're all drug use evaluation study. They are there in the market now. Even though a lot of studies are done individually, a lot of papers are published individually, 30, 40 publications are there individually. But the classical example is streptokinase. This streptokinase injection, a lot of studies were done. In 1970s, a lot of studies were done. But they were all hanging here and there. But by a meta-analysis, when all these studies are grouped together and they could come out with a conclusion that it is very much useful, this particular drug is very much useful for myocardial infarction. So drug use evaluation study is very, very important. Monitoring of certain parameters like an error, infraction, adverse reaction, pharmaceutical care, especially for long-term medication use patients, chronic illness patients, this pharmaceutical care is very much essential. Rational drug use, to what extent the drug use is rational or not. Health-related quality of life studies can be done. Prescription pattern studies can be done. Dosage individualization, depending on the individual patient's physiology, dosage individualization study can be done. Therapeutic guidelines can be prepared through a project. Pharmacoepidemiology studies, pharmacoeconomic studies, studies in community pharmacy also can be carried out. Pharmacokinetic and dynamic studies. A lot of areas of studies are there. Here are a few topics just for your reference I'm giving you. So pharmacist intervention in geriatric patients who receive antibiotics, rational drug use in hypertensives and comorbid condition, the risk of diabetes, and the prevalence and management of pediatric inpatients who are having gastroenteritis, adverse drug reaction prevalence reduction and monitoring, anticoagulant utilization study, then study on cardiovascular risk factors and quality of life improvement in epilepsy, then drug utilization studies in asthma and COPD, medication adherence in patients, this is again an area of study, dosage individualization of antimicrobials, again use of dyslipidemia drugs, drug utilization pattern of antihypertensives, then individual drug interaction studies, the risk assessment of drug-drug interaction in QT prolongation, prevalence of uterine fibroids and associated risk factors, comparison of cost effectiveness of dual antiplatelet therapy versus monotherapy, evaluation of risk versus benefit of antitubercular drugs in renal and hepatic impairment patients, impact of pharmacist intervention on the levels of uremic toxins in end-stage renal disease patients, so neuroprotectives and their outcome in ischemic stroke, the serum creatinine angioplasty patients, incidence of acute kidney injury, the evaluation of prescribing pattern in type 2 diabetes with obesity, association of type 2 diabetes with the management of bone health and assessment of fracture risk using FRAX tool. These are few of the projects which are done in our place, and I'm just sharing with you the topics alone. Say, for example, assessment of effective natriuretic peptide. Say, natriuretic peptide is very important whenever myocardial infarction is there, right? Whereas the same natriuretic peptide, the concentration will be more when the patient is having asthma and also COPD. So all these things we should discuss before you select the project. You should have discussion with the particular preceptors or particular clinical preceptors, that is the doctors, regarding this is what the project you are going to do. This is what is already done in the literature. This is what I wanted to try. What is the feasibility of it? How much is the sample required? The statistical analysis, what analysis I am going to do. All these things should be done very well in advance. This is again, some more projects are there. Clinical interventions you can do. Liver toxicity projects can be taken. Knowledge, attitude, and perception about the medication error. So tolerability of particular anti-epileptic drugs can be taken. Monotherapy versus the a lot of areas of research are there, but you should know where you start, what is your outcome, what is the expected outcome. All these things should be known. I'll tell you the secret of success. In the ward rounds, you should have preparatory rounds. Before the doctor comes, you should be there. You should have gone through this patient charts. You should know what not to say during your rounds. You should have simulated cases experience. You should have the knowledge about what are the drugs banned in the market recently, what are the gray areas where the physicians will not be able to work, where you can take it up and help them, and there should not be any argument. And remember that always this is the secret of success, and say that whatever you do, you publish at last. The project, if it is not published, it will perish. So learning is experience, everything else is just information. Whatever I have given you is information. Please try to get it as experience. So I would have asked, you will ask me, so many things you have told, where to start. So anything big has to start from a small thing, right? And always remember that the first step to success is to believe yourself. So always see you big. The success depends on your knowledge, practice, skill, and attitude. So have a positive attitude. You are the next generation pharmacist for quality healthcare. Be proud to be a pharmacist. And thank you so much for the opportunity given. Let us all work together for effective patient care. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sir, it was a very fantastic session.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So in a very small span of time, actually, we have given them a lot of insight about their clerkship and internship as well. I think they definitely will understand now from where to start, though maybe at very basic stage.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll be happy to answer any questions if students have.
Yeah. So can we ask the students to unmute themselves and directly ask questions? I think instead of moderating them, let the students directly ask.
Anything.
Students, you have got a great opportunity to clear your doubts or apprehensions. So you can unmute yourself and can just please introduce yourself and then you can ask a question.
Do it one by one, all at a time.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Myself, Vangat Bhatia. I'm in third year PharmD.
Acha.
Yeah, sir, I have two questions mainly. First of all, many a times patients, they don't share their medical history. They don't trust you. In that case, how can we gain that trust from them? And we can, reveal those things, like, because they get shy, like, no, we don't want to share the medical history with you, or sometimes they tend to forget the stuff. So in that case, how can we do it?
See, first of all, you have to gain the confidence of the patient. So how can you gain the confidence of the patient? Only the patient should know that, yes, you are also there with the doctor, you are in the team. So once you are there with the doctor, always when the patient, suppose the patient is there in the hospital for 4 to 5 days, you are all there with the doctors throughout that particular time whenever the doctor visits the patient. Very well, the patient knows that you are also a part of the team. He will not know that you are a pharmacist or who the other person. He will also think that you are also a doctor, right? What we do is most of the time we don't have our presence along with the doctors in the patient bedside, right?
Yes.
So gain the confidence of the patient first, and then when you talk to them, I'm sure they'll answer your questions. See, doctors, yeah, and that too, you should have a lot of mock exercise before you talk to the patient. You cannot cut a sorry figure in front of the patient, and sometimes you may have to say, I don't know. When the patient asks you some questions, you should not feel bad to say I don't know, because instead of giving wrong answers, very well you can say that I don't know, madam. I am a student. Please ask the doctor. You should also know when to say that, because most of the times the students feel that oh, how will I say in front of public I don't know. Then whatever they know, they will say something, and the patient will not be satisfied. You have to be very much clear before you start answering the patient. You have to be very, very shrewd, and you should prepare and go.
Yes, sir. Of course. So one more question regarding a case. Actually, if a person is there like with CKD and let's say stage 1, and they also have edema, and there is hyperkalemia, that is potassium level is high. So in that case, and if they have hypertension too, so in that case, what would be the first line agent? Because ACE inhibitors, we have seen hyperkalemia is like one of the what do you say, adverse effects. So in that case, should we go for loop diuretics or thiazides? Like, what would be preferred?
See, a lot of factors are there to determine this. First of all, remember that if it is hyperkalemia, he may get into arrhythmias also, right? So what are the other comorbid conditions the patient is having? What is the age of the patient? All those things are there. See, if the CKD is in the first stage means, suppose if the patient's creatinine clearance level, say for example, serum creatinine is around 2.7 something, right? 0.6 to 1.2 is normal, right? To what extent they can bring it down? Whether any potassium or phosphate binders are given to the patient or not. What other comorbid conditions the patient is having. All those things have to be determined before we select or we de-escalate a drug from the prescription. Right? Without knowing the comorbid conditions, without discussing with the doctors, we cannot say directly this patient is having this problem. You have to de-escalate the drug. Understand? The physiology of the patient is as I was telling you in my lecture, individualized drug therapy is there. There is no common drug therapy for everyone nowadays. Understand? There is no common drug therapy. If you say this particular patient is having creatinine increase, right? It is not only creatinine increase, it should be other comorbid condition also should be taken into consideration.
Right? We have to see like the all round, everything, all these conditions, and then we can come to the conclusion.
Yes. See, ultimately the drug has to work. It should not give another disease for the patient, isn't it? Even I tell you a smaller change, pantoprazole, a smaller change, pantoprazole is given to the patient and the patient produces constipation. When we go and check in the literature, it is given pantoprazole can cause both constipation and diarrhea also. But for this patient, the adverse effect is constipation. Understand? So it again individualized. The therapy has to be individualized. You cannot commonly say this patient can be given this drug. Individual group, that particular group of condition has to be taken into consideration before you answer the particular or before you change the structure.
Yes, sir, exactly. Because in that case, if we see the person was having edema, so in that case, mostly loops are as like a preferred first line agent in that case. So that was like the main.
See, especially loop diuretic, especially torsemide is given. Okay. So always these loop diuretics, when it is given, it has got its own advantage and disadvantage. So major disadvantage is when it is given, say not more than 4 milligram per minute, you can give this IV. If the dose is given more than that, then it can cause ototoxicity, hearing problems can happen to the patient, right? And these diuretics can cause change in the electrolyte levels. Any diuretic will cause change in the electrolyte levels, right? So depending on the place where it works, if it works on the loop or the tubule, or depending on the type, you have to manage the yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. It was really nice to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes, very well audible. Your voice is good.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Sriram. I am studying in fifth year family. As the session was very, very nice, we got to know many things which we didn't knew before. I want to ask two questions. First is about the drug safety associates you told. So can you tell me what skills and qualifications are required for that, and what does a drug safety associate do? Like, what is their job exactly?
See, drug safety associate, the job is mainly two things. One is the regulatory aspects of a drug which is already there in the market. Any newer signals are there. You know what is newer signal? Newer signal means in adverse drug reaction, previously the adverse drug reaction reported adverse drug reactions are there. But is there any newer adverse drug reaction identified? See, a lot of drugs are there out of the market because of that. Say, I'll tell you a classical example. Cisapride was there. Cisapride had come to the market by Janssen Pharmaceuticals for GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. They have marketed this drug. But when it was marketed by Janssen Pharmaceuticals, 23 companies in India, they were all immediately, because the concept from ulcer has changed to GERD. Previously, any heartburn, anything, people were treating for ulcer. After the concept of GERD comes, then the treatment changes. People started prescribing cisapride. Suddenly, what happened? One day, the same pharmaceuticals in Lancet, they have published that this cisapride produced arrhythmias and more than 640 people died. Suddenly, what happens? Because of the adverse reaction problem, cisapride was withdrawn from the market. In India, at that time, around 23 pharmaceutical companies already manufacturing it, and they have got a lot of stocks. And we did not have any reports regarding cisapride producing arrhythmias. Right? We did not have a good pharmacovigilance system that time. Right? So whether to ban the drug or not. A lot of drugs are there like that. Sibutramine, banned drug now. Right? Rofecoxib. So drug safety is very important. These people will work on the adverse drug reactions and also the regulatory aspects of that. So in abroad countries, you know, the black box warning is there. For example, a particular drug for next 15 days, this particular drug will be on black box warning. That means they will go through the drug. They will go through who and all is prescribed with the drugs, whether any adverse effects are there or not. They will collect all those information from those things. So drug safety associate will go through the literatures, the recent ones for the drug safety, and they'll also check whether this particular is already, the signal is there, or any new signal, they'll be reporting it to the CDSU through the company.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question about the medical science liaisons. Can you tell me more about this post?
Which one? Medical
science liaison, sir.
Medical
the
coding.
Liaisons which works.
No, I didn't get you the question.
The one which medical science liaisons, sir. They work between the companies for the product.
Okay. Medical liaison. Okay.
Yeah.
See, nowadays a lot of health insurance companies have come. Say in abroad countries, you know, health insurance is a must there. Okay, whereas here we are getting that concept here. So in health insurance, these medical liaison companies, they are working more on that.
Okay.
Voice is disturbing. It's not a lot of disturbances there. Hello.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir, this is Aishwarya Nair from fourth year family.
Yeah, tell me.
So my question was like, usually in the ICU and CCUs, we find that the doctors are very busy and there may be 3-4 admissions coming up at the same time. So in
Yes.
such cases, are PharmD candidates allowed to take the admission like in which you are supposed to take the patient history, BP monitoring and everything. So can a PharmD candidate take the admission of the patient?
See, what will be your answer for this? The patient is very serious. They are getting admitted. The people are putting him in ventilator. They are treating him. They are running here and there.
So not the patients which are put on ventilator.
No,
So
no.
the normal admissions which get into.
Normal admissions, when they go to ICU, I tell you, the doctors will be busy giving either adrenaline or dopamine, or they'll
Yes.
stabilize. They'll be stabilizing the patient,
Yeah.
isn't it? So
Yes.
you tell me that particular time whether we have to disturb them or not.
No, not the doctor, sir. I'm asking if we can take out information from the relatives, like regarding the drug history and everything.
No, no. See, you should be very clear what you want actually. You wanted to know about the patient treatment part, or you wanted to know once the patient is inside, you want to talk outside with the attendants. I did not get you what you want actually.
So, like, because when the patient will directly come into the ICU, usually doctors don't know what the history is, like what the comorbidities and everything are. Like from the emergency, the doctors only
Yeah.
partly convey the information. So,
Yes.
hence, to help out the doctor, if we can just talk to the relatives and get out a proper history, and we can help them, like regarding some drug allergies or any kind of hospitalization in the past.
See, for your
Uh,
information, there is a format. Whenever you go into ICU, the NABH accredited hospital, they have a format. In that format, they have to ask all these questions, and then only they'll go for the treatment. Understand? Even though they stabilize the patient first, there is a format where everything is. If the hospital goes according to the format, all the things whatever you are supposed to ask, everything is there in the format. Understand?
okay, sir.
where
Yes,
where
sir.
where you can do your job is, suppose if they are there more time in ventilator, they may get opportunistic infection like pneumonia. So that time you
Yes.
can talk to the doctors. That time you can make them understand this particular antibiotic, because of sensitivity pattern studies, this antibiotic, whatever you have started as empirical therapy, may not be useful, right? So like that, substantiating, justifying your statements, you can do it later, but not at the time of admission, because they have a format. Every hospital have a format. What are the things to ask if it is accredited hospital?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And sir, one more question.
Yes.
Sir, for the use of colistin in CKD patients, sir, so like from where can we find articles regarding the dosing of colistin?
Hmm. See, colistin is the last resort, last choice. Colistin,
Yes,
according
sir.
to colistin should not be used according to me, because colistin in China they have used in plowing fields, and colistin resistance have developed. There is a strain called as MCR1 gene. MCR1 gene is the gene which has developed resistance to colistin. Till date, there is no drug for that. Right? This particular
Yes,
microbe
sir.
developed resistance to the colistin. Colistin is the last drug of choice for urinary tract infection. Understand? So
Yes, sir.
unnecessarily only it should be kept as the last resort. It should not be given in the beginning itself.
Yes, sir. But sir, like for the loading dose and all, usually you have a like a formula in which you actually calculate it according to the creatinine clearance.
Yes.
So because I couldn't find many papers on that, and hardly I could find one or two, but actually the calculation was varying in both of them. So how can we like understand which one to follow?
Now, there are two methods of dose calculation. One is either body weight or surface area, right? Suppose when the patient
Yes,
body weight could not be taken, if he is a bedridden person, body weight could not be taken, then they go with body surface area, isn't it? So the adult
yes, sir.
body weight, say for example, any drug you take, say insulin is there, right? If you know the body weight, people will multiply with 0.55. If you know the body weight of the patient, how much insulin should be given? The body weight in kg, kilogram, into 0.55.
Yes.
Suppose if the body weight is in abroad countries and all, the body weight is calculated in pounds. If it is in pounds, then the weight in pounds divided by 4 give you a value. That value, that much of unit of insulin is required for the patient. Like that, which calculation you are using, that is very important. Calculation, whether by body weight or surface area. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, sir. This is Nargis Patel, and I'm from fourth year PharmD. My question is linked to the previous question. I just want to know, is there any difference between the drug safety association associator and the drug inspector?
The drug inspector is to inspect the shops, the medical shops, right? And to report to them for any, what do you say, spurious drugs, all those things, right? So drug safety associate she'll be working in the company, right? So from the company, she'll be auditing, she'll be going through the hospitals where the trials are going on. Suppose clinical trials are done by a particular company. Suppose Glenmark is there. They are doing some clinical trial. Now they are doing a clinical trial on COVID medication, right? So this particular clinical trial is going on. That particular time, whomever the drug is given, whether the drug has produced any adverse effects or not, whether because of the drug, the patient has got any inconvenience, to what extent the dose can be increased and given. When they increase the dose, is there any problem? So all these things are the work of the drug safety associate. Understand? So drug inspector is, they will inspect whether the documentation is correct or not, whether any spurious drugs are there, whether drugs are given without prescriptions, especially Schedule H or H1 drugs. So like this, they're all into the public there. But here it is confined to a particular hospital, particular drug, particular, what do you say, group of people, right? A cohort study like that.
So, sir, we can say the main difference is that the drug inspector are working on those drugs which are already released into the market, which are given to the patients.
Yeah. So there also, if any adverse effects are there, they have to report. See, drug inspectors, see, the government has taken certain things, TB medications. TB, they wanted to take out of the country, they were not able to do it. Polio is the only this one which we have taken out from the country. Next, the target for the government is TB. We have got more than 24% of the world TB is contributed from India. Okay, so this particular medications which are used for TB, if they are taken properly by the patients or not, through pharmacists also they are doing it. That and all has to be screened by the drug inspectors. So the drug inspectors, suppose if DOTS therapy is happening in a particular shop, the pharmacist is allowed to do the DOTS therapy, right? Whether they are doing it or not, whether they are maintaining the records properly or not, whether the fridge is working properly or not, right? They can take samples. They can take samples from them and they can give it to the lab. NABL lab is available. So this lab, they can check whether the sample, then and there they can take the sample and give. So, you know, there was a issue. There were impurity, right? There was an impurity in the active pharmaceutical ingredient which caused cancer, right? So that particular time, all the drug inspectors in all the states, they were asked to take the sample of that particular medication and give. They are doing that work.
Okay.
So it depends on the situation. The work pattern also changes.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
My name is Damini Kolle and I am from fifth year PharmD. Actually,
Yes.
sir, you were discussing about the job opportunities or, you know, the roles of PharmDs in the healthcare industries purely, right? I mean, I actually wanted to know the job opportunities that are, you know, in health, that combine healthcare as well as the tech. For example, you know, let's talk about artificial intelligence, for example. I mean, do we have any role in that, or, you know, are there any opportunities or something like that?
Artificial intelligence is a very, very new terminology, of course, being spoken by everyone. So as far as pharmacists are concerned, we should be very, very, I'm thinking that we are in the very starting stage now, right? So artificial intelligence, for example, I tell you, when a doctor prescribes, right, and the patient takes the drug, or the patient goes for some investigation. Say, for example, doctor writes for an X-ray investigation, right? So what the artificial intelligence says is that you need not have the doctor to interpret the X-ray. Isn't it? So directly the machine or the computer itself will interpret it and tell you, right, these are the problems, you have got some consolidation in the right lung. All these things, the machine itself will interpret it and tell you. That is artificial intelligence. Okay.
Yeah.
So in case of pharmacy, artificial intelligence, when it comes, even though we say it is boost or boom, whatever it is, you will not have the human touch when you talk to the patient as a pharmacist directly instead of a machine talking to them. Right? That human touch will not be there.
Right.
That is my perception about this artificial intelligence. Even though it is good, you will not have. Say, it is like suppose I see you directly and I talk to you. That is different. And now online I am seeing you and talking. Right? So that's a difference. And all the students know, instead of online classes, nowadays they are telling, sir, classroom teaching is better. This we are getting bored of. They will mute and they'll do some other work. So the human touch is lost if artificial intelligence is coming into pharmacy. This is what especially patient-related activities, healthcare activities.
But also it is good in a way. For example, we could do, go into personalized medication. We're talking about that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I agree with you. But what I am thinking is from the patient point of view, right? If something happens to the patient, somebody should be there to take the responsibility and talk to the patient regarding that.
Yeah.
See, most of the times nowadays during COVID situation, people are asking for psychological counseling. Why? Because they feel that they can listen to the music, they can go into the internet, everything is fine, but they were not able to contact with people, they were not able to converse directly. Human touch is not there. So once that artificial intelligence is good, very well useful, everything is fine, the world is going towards it, artificial intelligence, big data, so many good things are happening. But when pharmacy and patient is concerned, healthcare is concerned, I require the human touch where people have to go and talk to the patient. Only when you talk to the patient, I tell you the community pharmacists are the barefoot doctors where they can talk to the patients and get the things done. I know a lot of places where the patients, they will go only to that pharmacy. Even though the medication is not available, they will wait and take. Because there is some person, they get the confidence that this person will talk to us nicely, they will get the information, whatever I want, he is correct. So that confidence building is very important with the pharmacist as well as the patient.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
I am Saurabh Tumar from third year PharmD.
Yes, sir.
सर मुझे एक सवाल पूछना था जो आपने आर्गुमेंट्स पे एक क्वेश्चनिंग की कि आर्गुमेंट से बचना चाहिए या अवॉइड करना चाहिए बट सर इन द कोरोना पीरियड की एक चीज बाहर निकल के है कि लोगों को गूगल या न्यूज इस पे ज्यादा भरोसा होता है देन कि अपन नॉलेज दे कि अगर मैं किसी को कुछ नॉलेज दे रहा हूँ तो वो गूगल पे सर्च करके बताएगा कि आपने जो नॉलेज दिया वो गलत है जबकि हम आपने जैसे बताया कि केजी पर बॉडी वेट से अपन ये करेंगे मेडिसिन एप्लीकेशन करेंगे डोज का ये करेंगे बट पीपल उसको गूगल करके बताएंगे आपने गलत बताया ये किया तो हम उस चीज को कैसे टैकल करेंगे क्योंकि उनको लगेगा कि हम सही है हमको सब पता है
See, Google is not always correct. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir. But people.
No, people are okay. People okay. They're whatever they could do, they are doing it. I'll tell you one example. There is a drug called as letrozole. Letrozole. L-E-T-R-O. Is that O-L? Letrozole. Letrozole. Is that O-L? This letrozole is an anti-cancer drug. It is used for breast cancer. Okay. This drug is used for breast cancer. And one of the person Googled, this is what had happened is just 2-3 years before, one of the person had Googled it and said, this drug is banned. Right? Then how come the doctor has prescribed this drug to my wife? You understand? Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
this letrozole is banned. How he is a very learned person, educated person, it is banned, and how the doctor has prescribed it. Then a query had come to our drug information center, right? So when we check it, letrozole is banned. Yes, letrozole is banned, but it is banned for the use in ovulation induction. Inducing ovulation, it is banned, but it can be used for cancer. Understand? Right? But now, last 1 year before, again it has come to use for inducing ovulation also. Now again the ban is released now. Now why I'm telling this example? People will go with half knowledge. With the half knowledge, half-baked knowledge, if you go and ask, if they are in the position to listen to you, then you can explain them. Otherwise, you cannot change them.
Yes, sir. फिर हम उन्हें अप्रोच कैसे करेंगे राइट नॉलेज के लिए मतलब?
Yeah, you have to produce the justification. Justification means, see, in this literature it is shown like this. With the literature only I am talking. This is published very recently. Like this, you have to justify. Once you justify, they'll understand. They don't know about Lancet, they don't know about British Medical Journal, American Journal of Cardiology, all these things, they don't know. But when you say that, see, this is the journal where it is published, this many number of patients, they were tested and all these things, then they understand. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So that is the work of the pharmacist, right?
क्योंकि सर इस पीरियड में ये चीजें वो टैकल करनी पड़ती है कि जैसे मतलब लोग कोरोना के बारे में अपने को ज्यादा बताते हैं, जबकि आप आर्टिकल में से बताओ तो वो सोचते कि गूगल पे या न्यूज पे ये चीजें दिखा जा रही तो वो सही है देन द डॉक्टर. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Yes, so any more questions?
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Yes.
Sir, I'm Kuldeep Kaur. I'm studying in 4th year PharmD.
Yes.
During my hospital visits, I came across a case of ABPA, that is allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis. So which is caused by a fungus, but the patient was being treated with a cephalosporin. So according to my knowledge, cephalosporin being beta-lactam antibiotics, it has got antibacterial activity. But I was surprised to know that how anti-fungal activity it exhibited. So later on, when I surfed through Google, I came across articles that cephalosporin was first isolated from a fungus and it has got a very potent antifungal activity. And recently, I also had a fever. So my doctor prescribed me doxycycline for the same. And later on, I was again confused that how tetracycline, which is used to ward off infections which are caused by bacteria, how it will give an antifungal activity during this corona crisis. So again, when I surfed through Google, I came to know that tetracycline is also having antiviral activity. So how do we keep ourselves updated with all such knowledge? Because our books don't have the spectrum of coverage which these drugs are having right now. And secondly, the guidelines keep on changing and the doctors keep on practicing like different medicines for the different diseases. So how do we keep ourselves updated with all such stuffs?
See, here one thing which you have to understand is, depending on the sensitivity pattern of that particular hospital microorganism, the treatment changes. Has to change. Not changes, it has to change. Say in my hospital, suppose for amoxicillin clavulanic acid, the organism is responding well, whereas the other hospital it is not responding. Right? I cannot say that you have to give only this amoxicillin, isn't it? So depending on the sensitivity pattern of that particular hospital where it is the test is done or the treatment is done, accordingly only the doctors have to go. They cannot go just like that. General guidelines are there, I agree with you. But the sensitivity pattern studies should reveal which particular drug or the antibiotic need to be given for this. That is why the antibiotic stewardship program should run in the hospital, and the microbiologists are responsible to help the physicians to select especially the higher antibiotics. You know, this carbapenem group of antibiotics are being very, very widely used nowadays, right? There are studies which states that in 2030 for pneumonia we will not have any treatment if we use the carbapenem group of antibiotics like this, isn't it? Can you?
Okay. Yes. Yes, sir.
All this carbapenem group of antibiotics are injections, right? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
There is no tablet, isn't it?
Yes, sir. So,
No.
so basically,
No,
how
no.
will we keep ourselves
Wait.
updated? Yeah.
Wait. I'm asking you a
Yes,
question.
sir.
Carbapenem group of antibiotics, all of them are injections. There is no tablet, right? I'm telling like this. You are saying yes. And it means I have to teach you that ferropenem is one drug, which is
No,
again
Faropen.
ferropenem is a tablet, right? Isn't it?
Okay.
See, we should update ourselves first of all, right? See, knowledge keeps on
Okay. Yeah.
expanding. See, you cannot restrict that I have learned everything because knowledge keeps on increasing day by day. Lot of literatures are coming, lot of informations are coming. If you go through today, there will be information on the newer drug. Like Glenmark had come out with that, no? What is it? Fabifab.
Favipiravir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Fabipavir. It is, we have to learn. Any new drug tomorrow, we have to learn. See, thalidomide is banned, isn't it? Thalidomide is there in the market
Yes.
now. Thalidomide is there in the market or not? Thalidomide is banned, no? Hello? Answer something. Yes or no? Nothing, no problem. Thalidomide was banned, but nowadays thalidomide is there for multiple myeloma and leprosy treatment. It is again there in the market, isn't it? So we have to keep updating. We cannot say that yes, this particular thing is the standard treatment. Updating is very important. So
Okay. Yes, sir.
in your case, what I will say is that particular hospital sensitivity pattern should help the doctor to choose the drug.
Okay.
For that, the antibiotic stewardship program by the microbiologist should help them.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, I have one more question. It's Angad Bhatia.
Please.
Hello. Yeah, sir. Actually, I was talking with my colleague, with my friend's colleague, actually, a few days ago. He has done PharmD from Manipal, and currently he is doing research in Imperial College in London. So I was asking him, like, what was the basic eligibility criteria and what you did in your like PharmD years, like project work and thesis. So according to that, he was selected. So he was telling me like, yeah, I did some thesis, I did my research work. So my question is linked with your that topic of Canada, which you were telling in starting time. So sir, in that case, what further courses do we have after PharmD, and what should we do, or we should prepare in this initial stage? Like, what can we do about that, sir?
See, you have to be very clear first of all what you wanted to be, or which area is your area of interest. Whether you wanted to work in the hospital or whether you wanted to go in community. In abroad countries, community pharmacy is more, isn't it? You are going to work in the community pharmacist, right? But if I ask you to work in the community pharmacy here in India, will you work? You will not work because the salary part here is less, there it is more. The pharmacy managers are getting more salary there. Next to physician, the highest salary according to 2019 survey, right? There, it is Mock Gray survey. There is one survey, Mock Gray survey. They have told that in 2019, next to physician, the highest salary is for pharmacy managers. If you see the first 5 highly paid jobs, pharmacy managers are there. Okay, right. So you have to be very careful in choosing your job, which is of your interest. It is not just going to US or going to Canada or going to Australia. What is your aim going there? Sitting here itself, I know people who are earning more than them. I know a person who have completed B.Pharm, my classmate, around 30 years before I'm talking. My classmate who have completed only B.Pharm. He had not completed M.Pharm, he didn't do PhD, he did awards and all, right? But now he is having his own company. Under him, around 70, 75 medical representatives are working. He is having a fantastic house, car, this one, which I don't have.
That's great. Okay.
See, yes. It again depends on the individual's perception and what you wanted to be. After 10 years, where you wanted to be, what you wanted to be. If you are clear in that, accordingly you choose the path. It is not that I have to go to Canada or US, not like that. What you wanted to be, for that, what is the path? Suppose you wanted to go to US, okay, what are the examinations are there? Whether I have to go through FPG examination, APLEX examination, after doing that, how many hours of experience, 1,500 hours of experience I have to have there, right? I tell you, a very, very average student of mine, a very average student, his name is Vasi Reddy Jaykrishna. He has completed PharmD from here. He had done his B.Pharm from this college, and then he joined here for PharmD postbaccalaureate. Now he is in US, right? To him, around more than 50 doctors are reporting. He is into pharmacovigilance there in US. I'm really proud that he is doing a very good job there. See, wherever you go, you can shine, provided you have the liking in that. Understand? Please don't compare with the people. They have gone, so I should also go like them. What is your liking? First, people have to be very clear in that. Most of the times, only after finishing the family, they will say, okay, whether I will get this job, whether I will get that job. You are liking, if you go, I am sure wherever you go, you will shine.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
There is one small one. There is one student called Arasan. He did B.Pharm from us. And this student was not able to even converse properly in English. But he tried his best during all the 4 years. He tried his best. Now he is the regional manager in Kedila. He is the regional manager in Kedila. Doing very well. And I just happened to meet him in a hotel, in a Vista hotel. Here there is a hotel called as Residency. When I was there for some function, he was there. All his medical representatives are running towards him. Right? I thought, who is that person? Big shot. Then Arasan was there that time. Right? Then he came running after seeing me. Then I was really happy for that boy. I know how he was and how he transformed himself. I'll always say it is individuals' mental makeup and individuals' hard work which take them.
Yes, sir. Definitely, sir. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for answering all the queries raised by the students. Students, if you have any further question, you put into the chat box. So let's sum up this session. I'm very thankful to you, sir, on behalf of Indira College of Pharmacy. In your session, you explained many things, especially you started with the what exactly the knowledge is and the skill is, and how we can implement our theoretical knowledge into the practice of pharmacy. Also, you have given very important information for the fifth-year PharmD students for their clerkship, internship. So how to go for the ward round, how to prepare yourself for that, and how this drug interaction, adverse drug reaction, all these things will play a very important role. So all these things you explained very well. I'm Dr. Digambar. I'm thankful to you on behalf of Indira College of Pharmacy and Indira Group of Institute. I'm thankful to you, especially whatever you explained to a PharmD student, and not only the session but also the questions raised by the students. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Sir,
thank you.
Sir, thanks a lot. As as I told you that it was a great learning experience to us along with our students. And let's take this association further, and let us have more discussions in coming future also. And we would love if you will visit our college in future, like whenever everything will be open. Thanks a lot.
Madam, thank you so much for all your love and affection. Right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
It has been a great learning experience. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. I am also learning. Yes, learning is a continuous process.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much for all
Thank
your.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I think he has left the meeting now.
Yeah. All the students can leave now. No problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Array, all good.
Thank you. Be on time
And
tomorrow.
please attend tomorrow. Tomorrow also it will be fantastic.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
be on
Thank
time.
you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Yes.
Hello.
हाँ दिगंबर सर बोला
सर मी यांना भेटलेलो आहे सर एक मे बी 8 वर्षापूर्वी मी त्यांच्या
हो का?
इन्स्टिट्यूटला गेलो होतो. माझं PhD सबमिशनच्या टाइम मध्ये त्यांच्या इन्स्टिट्यूट काहीतरी वायवा होतं जे माझे गाईड
दिगंबर बोलतोय. हो बर.
त्यावेळी मी त्यांना भेटलेलो, मला आता आठवलं मी कुठं पाहिलंय.
हो राईट नाही, बट इज सच अ फॅन्टास्टिक टीचर यार. टू गुड अ सेशन, टू गुड. भारीच. येस. ओके, आता प्रत्यक्ष बोलूयात. चला सगळे मुलांनो, उद्या सकाळी वेळेत या. आम्हाला परत रिमाइंडर द्यायला लावू नका. हा, उद्या 12 वाजता आहे बरं का, दुपारी. पहाटे नाही, दुपारी 12 वाजता. ओके, बाय.